We have a daughter who's gone from running 3 or 4 miles a day, 3 times a week, to she goes up 3 stairs into our home. She's wiped out for an hour or 2 before she can do anything. I mean, it's just been absolutely devastating for her, and she just got married and everything. And I called Dr. Brad, and he said, you know what, I just barely came in from Europe. So it was on a weekend, it was on a Friday. He said, I can't get there until after hours on Friday. He said, come to my home on a Friday night. After he'd been gone for, I don't know how many weeks he'd been gone, to Europe anyway. But the bottom line is he came and we had a chance to do that. He did a treatment for my daughter. And then he said, you know what, she needs to have another one. Can you come tomorrow? So we spent another, about, several hours on Saturday. He said, you know what, he says, she needs a little bit more. Why don't you come for lunch on Sunday? Now this is a guy that's got an incredible schedule. In fact, he's got his own plane so he can get to places faster than he can get to otherwise, you know. And I'll never forget that. So Dr. Brad, I just want you to know how much I love and appreciate you and all you did for me and my family. And she's still working through the problems and so forth, but it really has helped. After working with Dr. Brad, you know, we've had some good positive things that have happened with her. She still has a road to hoe, but tell you what, with Dr. Brad's help, and we can't see it enough. Thank you. Appreciate you. That's the kind of a man that this is. And as I've had the privilege to get to know him in his own home, and we shared a wonderful Sunday meal together, I know that this is a good man. And he is doing the right things for the right reasons. And so I'm thrilled to have you back. So grateful you could work in your schedule. And I don't want to take any more of your time. So let's give a warm hand all the way from St. George, Utah, Dr. Brad. Rod and I are buddies. Let's give Rod a big hand, because without him, none of us would be here, right? Amazing. Okay, I want to see if my lapel mic works.
Just for recording.
But this works. Okay, awesome. All right, fantastic. We're going to be talking about life insurance. Raise your hand if you're in the life insurance, here for the life insurance seminar. Just kidding. All right, we're going to talk about the emotion code. How many of you how many of you are brand new and just wanted to come and find out what this is about? Raise your hand. Okay, great. Okay, now, put those hands down. Now, raise your hand if the emotion code has changed the life of somebody you know. Maybe you. Raise your hand. Raise those hands up high. Now, for the rest of you, I want you to look at those hands, because we're not making this stuff up, all right? This is real. So, thank you for joining us here, and let me see if I can get this thing to work. Oh, that's great. Hold on. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, this is me, and this is a very old slide. I did spend 22 years in practice as a holistic chiropractic physician. Okay, and 14 years. That's probably about, I don't know how many now, but I teach seminars all over the world. Done lots of presentations. We figured out recently I've done almost 1,000 radio shows, which makes me want to lay down up here on the stage and take a nap. But I wrote this book, The Emotion Code, and created this other system called the Body Code. And I've been all over the place, but when I was 7 years old, that was me. Okay? I was really, really sick. And can you guys hear me in the back okay? The acoustics in here are kind of weird. It's kind of like being in a cavern. Yeah, it is a cavern. Anyway, I was really sick, and I had overheard my parents talking about what the plan was for me, and the next day, I was going into the hospital. And I was going into something called an oxygen tent. Raise your hand if you're old enough to remember what those are. Raise your hand if you have no idea what that is. Okay. Well, it's just a tent thing they put over your bed to give you oxygen. So I was really, really sick, and I remember, like it was yesterday, my parents came into the room. They'd made a bed for me upstairs so I could be on the couch near their room,
And they came into the room, into the living room where I was, laying there, feeling really sick, and everyone else had gone to bed. And I don't remember anything else from when I was 7 years old, and I don't think I remember much of anything before that. But I remember what happened this night, and I'll always remember it, and I remember every detail, and I'll remember it if I live to be 1,000,000 years old. And what happened was, my parents came into the room, and my mom said, "Honey, will you kneel down with me and say a prayer for our boy that he'll be able to get well?" So they did. Now, knowing my dad, it was probably the first time I'd ever heard him pray. They knelt down by the side of the couch. My dad started offering this prayer. As he was praying, something happened. Something really dramatic happened to me. It started at the top of my head, and it went whoosh through my body that fast, and I was instantly healed. Now let me tell you something. To go from being really sick one moment, in the next instant to be completely well, is something that you do not ever forget, no matter how old you get to be. It is burned into your brain like nothing else ever will be. My dad was still praying. So I held my tongue till he was done, which didn't take long, and then when he was done, I said, "I'm better, I'm well, Heavenly Father healed me." And they said, "That's fine, honey, go to sleep now. Tomorrow, you're going into the oxygen tank." But the next morning proved it, that I was better. So I learned, 7 years old, I learned, there is a higher power that we can draw upon, that we don't necessarily see, that's not always obvious, but it's there. I learned that. Fast forward about another 7 years, things go in those 7-year cycles, right? And I'm in one of these places, because I started having these pains in my back that got worse and worse until finally they got so bad that when they would hit me out of the blue, it would literally throw me to the ground. And it was like being stabbed in the back with a knife. And my parents didn't know what to do. They were freaked out. I was freaked out. They took me to the hospital, and the doctors did all these tests. And I was diagnosed with kidney disease. My kidneys were failing. They were forming scar tissue and hemorrhaging on a low level. And they said, well, there's nothing we can really do for this, basically. He's either going to get better or he's not, but there's nothing we can do, so just take him home. And they told me, they said, don't run around or play too hard, which they didn't even need to tell me because, you know, I was in a bad way. So I was really worried. My folks were really worried. And my mother was, back then, how many of you are 60 or over and remember someone that was actually being referred to by people as a health nut, and people thought that person was actually nuts, insane? That's how my mom was. My mom was a health nut way back then. And she was open to alternatives, and my dad went along with her, and they took me to this other clinic that was populated by a couple of holistic doctors. And their clinic was out on the edge of town, and it was kind of out in this area. It was actually in the middle of a wheat field, and it looked like this. It didn't even look this good. I couldn't find a picture that was quite as bad as theirs. I mean, theirs was bad. You'd have to scrape the mud off your shoes when you'd go to their clinic. And they started working on me, and within a few weeks, I was feeling better and better. The pains were less and less severe, and within about a month, I was totally well. And so my parents took me back to this clinic, and they ran all the tests again, and they said, well, it's a spontaneous remission. Whatever we did must have worked. And of course, I knew they hadn't done anything right. So I decided I wanted to be a doctor at age 13 from this experience. And these people didn't seem to be able to help me, so I decided, you know, if I needed to practice in a clinic like this out on the edge of town in a muddy wheat field, that was totally okay with me, because these people had actually helped me in this clinic, not this one. So those are the clinics. That one, that one, that one, that one. Those are the clinics. So I decided this is going to be my clinic. So anyway, what happened was I got sidetracked, got into computers, got into business stuff, and I was about 6 months away from going into the MBA program at BYU. And my wife and I went home to Montana, where I'm from, and we were sitting around Christmas time, sitting around with my mom and dad, talking to them, and my dad, totally out of the blue, says to me, are you sure you don't want to go to chiropractic school? It seems like a great career, and you've always wanted to do it. And I said, no, Dad, I'm going into computers and business. I'm going into the MBA program. I'm going to get my MBA and go into business. And he said, well, Why don't you think about it one more time? So he kind of caught me off guard, and I said, well, okay. So how many of you have ever been in a situation where you think you have everything figured out and then somebody throws you a curve? And now you don't know what you're going to do? That's exactly what happened to me. I didn't know what I was going to do. My wife and I made a pro and con list. That didn't really help. So that night I got on my knees and I prayed and I said, Father in heaven, if you have anything to say about this, please help me to know what to do, because I'll go either way. If you care at all, I'll do whatever you think. So that night I had this experience where I was awakened 3 different times. And each time that I was awakened, my mind was full of these thoughts of how great it is to serve people naturally and heal people and be a healer and so on. And I would think, well, yeah, but, you know, computers. And I'd fall back asleep. So that's what happened the first night. I woke up the next morning and still didn't know what to do. So the next night I got on my knees again and I prayed. And on that second night, something really amazing and really powerful happened to me that totally changed the course of my life, and it's changed as it results now the course of many, many thousands and hundreds of thousands of others. On that second night, what happened was I got on my knees again and I asked for guidance. And on the second night, I was awakened 3 more times. But it was different this night, because each time that I was awakened, the feelings were geometrically more powerful, if you can imagine, geometrically, like on a logarithmic scale. Until on the 3rd time, on that second night when I was awakened, the thoughts of service to mankind and humanity and the entire world were so overwhelming, I can't describe it to you. And right then, I heard a voice that spoke to me as clearly as I'm speaking to you right now, and it said to me, this is a sacred calling. And I knew that was the answer. And so, when I got into chiropractic school, I figured God had gotten me into this. And when I got out of school, I figured maybe He would help me. And so with every person that I saw, before I would work on them, this went on for 17 years in my brick and mortar practice, 2 years in my practice after that, which is a distance practice, I would just take a moment and ask God to help me with this person. And it wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't anything that anybody ever knew. It was a totally private, totally personal thing. But I will tell you this, that God is always there, and He's aware of everything we're doing every moment. And when we ask for help, He is there, and He will give us answers. And there were times when people would come in to see me with problems that I didn't know how to deal with, and I would ask for that help, and the information would literally flood into my mind and just pour into me about what that person needed and how to look at their problem and how to see things in a totally different way than I had ever even conceived of before. During the last 10 years I was in practice, I was primarily treating people who had been told there was no cure for them at all available in Western medicine. People with all kinds of serious problems. People sometimes who were so sick they were literally praying to die. That's how sick they were, if you can imagine. I saw people with chronic fatigue syndrome so sick they were sleeping 22 hours a day. They'd wake up to come in and see me in my office. Imagine, what kind of life is that? Well, here's one of the things I learned. I learned that we are energy. Now, if you imagine, take a look at your hand for a minute, okay? Look at that hand. You've seen that hand before. If you magnify that hand about 40 times, it might look like this. These are the cells that make up the hand. Magnify your hand about 850,000 times, and you might be looking at a strand of DNA like this. It's still your hand, isn't it? It's still your hand. If you were to zoom in on one little area there, at about 1,000,000 power magnification, you might be looking at a single individual atom. If you look inside that atom, you see there's really nothing inside there at all. It's just empty space and some little infinitesimally tiny energies that are zipping around in there at the speed of light. And guess what, gang? This is who we are. We are beings of pure energy. That body that you think is so solid is really nothing more than a force field. You consist of all these almost countless energies that are all flying in this close formation. And it's God's power that keeps us holding together so we don't fly apart. That's who we are, each one of us. And we're having all those energies hold together to give us this experience we're having in this world. But believe it, we are pure energy. Now, Anciently, they talked about this energy part of us, this energy body. They had different names for it. They would call it the prana or the ki or the chi. I like to think of it as just the spirit within us, the intelligence, who we really are, right? The template for our physical body. That part of us can become imbalanced. Now we know that we can measure thoughts electronically, right? And emotions are also energy. And every emotion has its own unique vibrational frequency. So if you're feeling an emotion of anger, that's a different vibration, a different frequency than an emotion of sadness and so on. They're all different, right? Now, we need emotions. They lend color to our lives. Without them, imagine life would just be shades of gray. But sometimes we develop emotional baggage. And we now understand, really, for the first time in recorded history, what our emotional baggage really is, you see. And this is one of the main things that I learned during all those years that I was in practice. What I found was that no matter what my patients were suffering from, whether they were dealing with back pain or neck pain or a herniated disc or depression or anxiety or phobias or panic attacks or PTSD or eating disorders or asthma or infertility or digestive problems, they all had one thing in common, and it was this: emotional baggage, or this, depending on the side of the room you're on. So, now normally we feel emotions and they're processed and we move on, but sometimes that emotional energy is so powerful it gets stuck in the body. Okay? It gets stuck. Now, raise your hand if you've ever used this phrase, emotional baggage, to refer to someone else. Like, oh, that's Sheila. She's just got so much emotional baggage. We say things like that, don't we? But what we now are realizing for the first time is that emotional baggage is real. Who knew? Emotional baggage can occur at any age. It can even be inherited. At the moment of conception, you might not only inherit your grandpa's ears, you might also inherit his tendencies for depression or anger. And these trapped emotions they contribute to inflammation, pain, congestion, and many diseases, including cancer. In fact, every case of cancer that we've seen now in almost 30 years has had emotional baggage as a big underlying cause. Raise your hand if you believe that cancer is due to a deficiency of chemotherapy. Anyone? No takers. Okay. And trapped emotions are also the biggest underlying cause of depression and anxiety and PTSD and all these things that you see on the board. Self-sabotage, mental illness, more. This is the elephant in the living room in Western medicine. You see, the reality of it is the quantum physicists like Albert Einstein and his contemporaries, they were right all along. They've been telling us for over 100 years the body is an energy field. Well, if you go to Western medicine, you're just going to get drugs or surgery. But the oldest methods of medicine work on the body as an energy field. And so that's really what this is getting back to. Now, this is a recent picture that I took at the gym of myself. It's a selfie. Why are you laughing? It's so rude. Man. So here's a trapped emotion right here. A little ball of energy right there. Okay? You can't see these most of the time. Some people can see these. They have that gift. But these can lodge anywhere in the body. They normally are from about the size of an orange, the size of a cantaloupe. And what they do is they distort the normal energy field of your body. And when you distort the normal energy field of your body, it causes problems. Why? Because your body is just an energy field, right? So here are some physical symptoms that I personally saw in my own practice where trapped emotions were a significant underlying cause. Some cases, here, they were the only cause. Acid reflux, allergies. I'm going to go into my auctioneer mode. Ready? Abdominal pain, asthma, back pain, Bell's palsy, cancer, carpal tunnel, chest pain, chronic fatigue, Crohn's disease, colitis, constipation, diabetes, dyslexia, eye pain. That had been a good one, huh? Fibromyalgia, headaches, heartburn, head pain, hypoglycemia, impotency, infertility, irritable bowel, joint pain, knee pain, low back pain, thyroid, lupus, migraines, multiple sclerosis, neck pain, Parkinson's disease, shoulder pain, sinus problems, tennis elbow, and vertigo. This is not a complete list. It's just all the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Now, here's something else that trapped emotions do to you. They resonate. Think of this, your body is an energy field. Now, when you introduce a trapped emotion, let's say that you're really angry at somebody, and the emotion is a little too powerful to get stuck in the body. What's happening now is that you have, and this is really, I know this is weird, okay, this is weird, I admit it, okay? But this is how it is. Truth is stranger than fiction. What you actually would have here, or wherever it lodges, is a ball of anger. Literally a ball of energy that's vibrating at this particular frequency that we would refer to as anger, or maybe it's depression, or whatever it might be. So the tissues that are inside of that little ball of energy are continually vibrating at that level, at that frequency. So in other words, think about this. Let's imagine that this guy 20 years ago had an argument with somebody who was really angry. He got a trapped emotion of anger. There's the emotion of anger right there, the ball of emotional energy right there. It's anger. This guy may have an anger problem now where he might not have before. Because, why? Because when a situation arises in his life where he might tend to feel angry, he will tend to feel angry much more easily, much more readily than he otherwise would, because literally part of his body is already vibrating at that frequency. Raise your hand if that makes sense. Okay. So here's some emotional symptoms that I personally saw where trapped emotions were the biggest underlying cause. Anxiety, depression, frigidity, inability to achieve success or find love or overcome adversity, insomnia, isolation, learning disabilities, mental illnesses, night terrors, panic attacks, phobias, self-sabotage, suicidal tendencies. I'm going to share some stories with you. But first, I want to tell you about the conscious versus the subconscious mind. Now, your conscious mind is where you live. We all live in the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is not that smart. When you take a lie detector test, if you ever have taken one of those, the body can innately tell the difference between truth and falsehood, right? And we live up here in the conscious mind, and that's like the tip of the iceberg. And we believe the conscious mind is actually quite a bit less than 1% of your intelligence. The other part of you, the vast bulk of your intelligence, as you sit there right now, is what you could call the subconscious mind. That's the part of you that is so intelligent, it is completely off the scale. We have no way to even understand it, really. That subconscious mind, the part of the iceberg that's below the waterline, that part of your intelligence can take a ham sandwich and can convert that into cardiac muscle tissue or new nerve cells. I mean, this is an order of intelligence that's many magnitudes beyond our ability to comprehend. It's God's science, right? So, we live up here in this little conscious area, not much. And so we don't have a whole lot of room for memory. How many of you have forgotten something significant within the last week that got you in trouble? Raise your hand. Anybody? Right? Sorry, that's who you are. This is where we live. The subconscious mind, on the other hand, is where all the good information is, you see. Now, imagine, okay? I want you to imagine for a moment that you're a doctor. Imagine you're a doctor, and you have all these really sick people coming to you. Many of them have been told there is no cure for them. Wouldn't it be great if you could access that information in the subconscious mind? Because the subconscious mind, believe me, the spirit really within you is all it is. Do you think, how many of you believe there's a spirit within us that leaves your body when you die? All right. Me too. Do you think that when you come into this world, you check your spirit in some big gigantic coat rack in the sky and come here without it? No, it's in here, isn't it? We all have it, right? So, that subconscious mind knows with a perfect understanding what you need, see? And that's how I work on people. And so I'm going to show you how this works in a few minutes. In fact, let's do this right now, okay? I'm going to show you something. Now, they know that plants will naturally grow towards light and towards soothing or classical music, right? Plants will also, if you put a speaker near a plant that's playing maybe screamo music or something like that, the plant will grow away from that. And the roots themselves will bend away from that. So what I want to show you here is something that we call the sway test. Now, this is one of the methods of testing, getting information from the subconscious mind that we teach. And it's really, really simple. So I want you all to stand up for a minute. If you have anything in your hands, put it on your chair. Just leave it on your chair. Now your body will naturally sway forward toward thoughts of truth or positivity or congruency that you're holding in your mind. On the other hand, your body will sway backward away from thoughts of negativity or falsehood or incongruency. So here's what I want you all to do. Ready? Close your eyes. Close your eyes, drop your hands down to your sides, and just totally relax. Take a deep breath, let it out, and just stand there and relax for a minute. Feels good to stand up, probably. Now what I want you to do, we're going to start with something negative. I'd like you to think for a moment about the word war. We hear that word all the time, we've heard it all of our lives, but for a moment I'd like you to think about that word and what that word really means. What really goes on in war? When that is going on, what's happening? What are people doing to other people in war? What's happening to villages? What's happening to families? How many tears have been shed on this planet from all the wars that have been fought since day one? A lot, right? Think about that. Now, the moment your subconscious mind connects with that thought and what that thought really means, at that moment your body will start to sway backwards, trying to move away from that thought. Now I'd like you to open your eyes, raise your hand if you can feel your body going backwards on that one. Okay, great. That's your subconscious mind trying to move you away, just like a plant will try to move away from Screamo. Sorry, those of you that are Screamo fans, I am sorry. All right, close your eyes, drop your hands to your sides, let's try one more here. All right. Now, I'd like you to imagine that we're in the future. Imagine we're in the future. 1,000 years have gone by. You're still alive, but you're not the same person that you used to be. You now are a being that is able to be a vessel of unconditional love for our Father in heaven. Imagine that the love that fills your heart for all of mankind, for all of creation, is so big that your heart can't even contain that love. Imagine that feeling of love. Try to tune into what that would feel like. What does it feel like to give love unconditionally? And imagine that that love fills your heart to the extent that your heart can't even contain that love, that it expands out beyond you and fills the immensity of space. Imagine being that sort of being that's capable of giving unconditional love. Imagine being that kind of a vessel. Now, the moment your subconscious mind connects with that thought, that very high vibration thought, your body will want to move forward towards that one. So open your eyes and raise your hand if you can feel your body moving forward on that one. Look at all those hands. See, I'm not making this stuff up. This is real. Okay, you can sit down now. Thank you. So, I have a special gift for you. You're going to see right down here on the bottom, you're going to see this little, it says text code to 435-216-5802. We have a special gift for you. It's the Emotion Code ebook and the books on audio for free. It's a $67 gift. And you're going to see this more than once. But if you want to do that, you can get that free gift, okay? But this is the chart of emotions, okay? So you'll notice there are 60 emotions here divided into 2 columns and 6 rows. And I'm going to show you how the emotion code actually works. It's really, really simple, okay? Now, at events like this, I usually like to work on people that are in pain. Because people that are in pain are great because when their pain goes away, they can tell, right? Right? Raise your hand if you're here. Quite a few of you, actually. All right, cool. So, all right, so raise your hand if you're actually in some kind of physical pain right now. Oh, wow, a lot of you. Okay, awesome. I can take my pick here. So keep your hands up, though, because I can't memorize all those. No, I can't memorize that. Hang on a second. Let's see. You know what? Right here in the green shirt. Yeah. Well, it's sort of green. It's like camo. Come on up. All right. Now, let me tell you what's really exciting about this work. This work came from up above. It came to me when I was just trying to help my patients, right? And asking for help with everybody that I saw for years and years and years. And so when we teach this work, we teach this too. That part of this, when you go to work on somebody, if you really want to do it right, you ask for help. Because let me tell you, the highest duty of the healer is to be a go-between for that higher power, right? So, we're going to, before I work, what's your name? Kevin. This is Kevin. Say hello to Kevin, everybody. All right. So, what's hurting right now?
I kind of hurt all over.
All over? Okay. Any particular place worse than anyone else?
Probably my back.
Low back?
Yeah, lower back.
On a 0 to 10 scale, 0 being no pain at all and 10 being, call 911, where are you? How would you rate it?
Probably about a 6.
It's about a 6, so that's significant, right? All right, so before we work on him, let's just take a moment here. We'll just ask for some help from up above, of course. All right, awesome. So let's take a look here. Now, what I'm going to do, I might have to have, could I get a third person up here to help? Just hold the mic. All right, come on up. Yeah, I guess this one. Maybe this is just to record. This might be just to record my voice, just for the video. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so here we go, and it's Kevin, right? Okay, here's what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to test Kevin and see if he is testable, we call it. Watch his arm. Say, my name is Kevin. He says his name is Kevin, and we'll just see. I'm going to press down on his arm, and he's nice and strong. He can resist me, no problem. And that should be, that's how it should be. Say, my name is Bob.
My name is Bob.
He says his name is Bob, which of course is a lie. Now when I press down on his arm, down he goes. You see that? The body can't lie. Say, my name is Kevin. He says his name is Kevin, and he's nice and strong. My name is Bob. And down he goes. Okay, so this is how we actually can tap into the subconscious mind. It's actually way simpler than you thought. How many of you thought you needed expensive equipment? No, you don't. So let's ask this question. And we're talking to his subconscious mind. So Kevin, do you have a trapped emotion that we can release that's contributing to your low back pain? And his body says what, class? That's a yes. Okay, so now we go to our chart. Now, his subconscious mind has a certain emotion in mind. I have no idea what it is, but his subconscious mind knows what it is. I'm going to figure it out. Is this trapped emotion in column A in our chart over there? And what's his body say? It says no. That means it's in column B. Is that right? Yeah. Column B. Is it in one of the odd rows in column B? Nope. So that means it's in row 2 or 4 or 6 in column B. So we've narrowed it down already to 15 emotions out of 60. There's my option here, voice. Oh, you got one right there? Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Oh, okay, is it in row 2? Is that where it is? No. Keep resisting. Is it in row 4? Is that where it is? No. So it's in row 6 in column B. Row 6, column B. Narrowed down to 5 emotions. Is the emotion pride? No. Is it shame? Is that what it is? Nope. Is it shock? Is that what it is? Nope. Is it unworthy? Nope. Is it the last one, worthlessness? No. Now those of you that have been doing the emotion code for a while, what is this?
Inherited.
This is inherited. This is how the inherited emotions usually will show up, okay? Now, an inherited emotion is where you receive at conception from mom or dad a little bit of emotional energy that they might have gotten at conception from their mom or dad. So you ready? I didn't know this was going to show up right off the bat, but the ancestors have found out about this stuff, so this happens to me quite a bit. All right. So, is this an inherited emotion? And Kevin's subconscious mind says what? Yes. Okay, did you inherit this from your father at conception? No. Who does that leave, class? Mother. Good. How many of you were not sure? Okay, just checking. All right, so he got this from his mom. Is this inherited pride that you got from her? No. Is it inherited shame from her? Ooh, very strong. Shame's the lowest frequency of all the vibrations. So, did your mom get this from somebody earlier? No, she didn't. Now, do you have any kids? How many kids do you have? 6 kids? All right. All right, so did any of these 6 kids inherit this shame emotion from you? Yes. Did they all get it from you? No. Okay. Did the oldest one get it from you? Yes. Did the second oldest one? No. Did any of the other ones get it? No, only the oldest child got it. So you never know. Sometimes it'll skip around a little bit. Let's ask you, you need to know any more about this emotion. What's his body say? Not really. So that means we can release it. So you ready? This is causing low back pain. Watch what happens here. Come on, magnet. Now, to release an emotion like this, what we do is we use a magnet, okay? And if you don't have a magnet, it's okay. You can use your fingertips. They're also magnetic. Now, if you don't have a special magnet like this one that has the emotion code chart printed on it, it doesn't matter. We found that Hello Kitty magnets work great. A magnet from your plumber on your fridge doesn't make any difference at all, okay? Face that way. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to go down his back 10 times to release this emotion that he got from his mom. So, are you counting? Oh, no, hurry. How many is that?
13.
Are we done? 10? Okay. All right, awesome. Okay, now let's check in with Kevin here and let's ask, did we release that inherited emotion? Yes, we did. Did it also release from your mom? Yes, it did. And from your oldest child? Yep, okay. Now let's have you walk, okay? Go ahead and just walk over there. Don't fall off the edge, though. Thank you. I'll probably make you back. All right, how you doing? Okay, so on a 0 to 10 scale now, how would you rate the pain in there in your low back? Yeah, maybe a 2. Maybe a 2. How many of you have ever taken a drug to get from a 6 to a 2? Anybody? Come on, come on. You can't lie to me. Okay, thank you. All right, cool. Give him a big hand. Let's do it again, shall we? Raise your hand if you're in pain. All right, let's see here.
All right. There's a secret.
Yes, you're a blonde. It is you. Come on down. Yeah, stick around.
If you watch his hand, he
All right.
tests to see who needs it the most and who can benefit
By
the
the
most
way,
from one.
can I drink this water or is it
And he
somebody
actually
else?
finds the person. It's really cool.
Go for it.
Are there stairs here? No, there aren't. Okay, all right, come on up. Okay, great. Come on over here. What's your name?
Marilyn.
This is Marilyn, everybody. Say hello to Marilyn. Hello, Marilyn. Marilyn, what's going on with you? You got pain?
Headaches.
You got a headache?
All the time.
You have a headache right now? How bad is it?
Probably a 5.
Probably a 5? Still significant.
Yeah.
Not really bad, but how long have you had headaches for?
Always.
Always, like your whole life?
Off and on.
Off and on your whole life? Okay. You know, I was taking a history on a patient one time, and I was asking her if she had any trouble, and she said, well, I just have normal headaches. And I said, wait a minute, what did you just say? Oh, I have normal headaches. And I said, well, do you realize it's not normal to have headaches? She had no idea. She thought headaches, everybody had headaches. That's why they sell headache drugs, right? Yeah. All right. So here we go. Here we go. Sorry. Here we go. So let's ask some questions. Go ahead and say, my name is. Go ahead and hold. Give her the mic.
My name is Marilyn.
Okay. And I'm going to test her now, and just resist. Ready? Hold it. Yeah, just resist. I'm going to press down. You hold it up. Okay. She's nice and strong. You rock like.
No.
You're strong. All right. Say, my name is Jill.
My name is Jill.
She says her name is Jill, and she's weak, right? So that's her subconscious mind. It can't lie. Let's ask this question. Given trapped emotion we can release is contributing to your headache pain. And let's see what her body says. What does her body say? That's strong, right? Okay, so there's the chart right there. You're learning how to do this really simple. Is this emotion in column A? And the body says no, so it's in column B. Is it in one of the odd rows in column B? No. So it's in an even row in column B. Is it in row 2 in column B? Is that where it is? Try that again. Is this one? Yep, column B, row 2. So the emotions are failure, right? Is it failure? No. What's the next one, class? Is it helplessness? No. What's the next one? Is it hopelessness? Is that what it is? No. Try it again. Is it lack of, lack of control? Is that what it is? Ooh, that one's very strong. Try that again. Is it lack of control? You ever felt that way? Lack of control?
Always.
Oh, she always feels that way. Oh, no surprise here. Okay, let's ask, do we need to know any more about this emotion? And her body says no, so we can release it, right? Oh, thank you. Face that way. Yeah, there we go. So we'll use our magnet. What we're doing is we're putting energy, magnetic energy, into a little meridian that runs right down the back called the governing meridian. And it's kind of like taking a credit card out of your wallet and then rubbing it with a magnetic, rubbing the magnetic strip with a magnet. It wipes out that information. Same thing here. Oh wait, we're only going to do 3 and we're done. Okay, you ready? All right. Let's take a look. Let's ask, did we release that emotion? Yes or no? We did? Okay. And now, go ahead and take a walk. Thanks. Now, when people are in pain, I like to have them walk a little after we release an emotion because it allows things to kind of settle back into their new places. So 0 to 10 scale, what do you think?
I don't want to say.
She doesn't want to say, but how many of you would like her to say? Raise your hand if you, inquiring minds, you want to know? All right, go ahead. It's all right, honey.
I have one.
You don't think you have one?
It doesn't hurt.
So would you say that's a 0?
I would say that's a 0, but I've never had not a headache, so I don't.
Until now. Now, who knows how long she's had that emotion, right? Maybe a long, long time. Thank you. Oh, awesome. All right, great. So, thank you so much. Hang on here. Okay, let's do it one more time. Ready? Raise your hand if you're in pain. Okay, come on up. Yep. Yes, you. Is it your knee by any chance? Knee, neck. Okay, think about what's hurting you the most, and then we'll attack that. See, what I found during all those years when I was in practice is that I had people coming into me all the time with all kinds of problems. A lot of them were in pain. And what I found was that when I would ask the subconscious mind, ask the spirit what they needed, there was always emotional baggage. It's a huge thing that we all suffer from. So what's your name?
Ray.
Ray. Say hello to Ray, everybody. Ray. All right, Ray. So what's bothering you the most right now?
My neck.
And on a 0 to 10 scale, how would you rate it?
Probably right now about a 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Sweet. Okay. This is good, right? This is good. Here, you want to hold this? Thank you. Okay, so here we go. Hold that arm straight out. Okay. And here, hold it down just a little bit. There you go. Okay. Say, my name is Ray. He says his name is Ray, and he's really strong. My name is Bob.
My name is Bob.
Says his name is Bob, and down he goes, right? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Okay, so let's ask, if you have a trapped emotion we can release, it's contributing to your neck pain. And let's see what his body, what his spirit says. It says, yes, you see that? Yes, that's the spirit. See, we're finally learning how to communicate with these amazing computers inside of us. So his body says yes. Now right now his subconscious mind has the emotion in mind. I don't know what it is, but let's see. Here's our chart. Okay. Is this emotion in column A? No. So where is it, class? Column B. Is it in one of the odd rows in column B? Yes. Okay. Is it in row 1 in column B? No. In row 3 in column B? That's pretty strong. Okay, row 3, column B. So let's see. Is this confusion? Is that what it is? No. What's the next one, class? Is it defensiveness? Is that what it is? No. Is it grief? Is that what it is? Bingo! Feel that? Yeah. Your wife? She probably does. Is your wife here? Oh, yeah. Okay. Grief. Has he been giving you grief? I mean, that's another... Yeah, okay. That can happen. Grief. Let's ask, do we need to know any more about this? And his body says what? Very strong, yes. So his subconscious mind is telling us, you know what? I'll let you release this, but you got to dig a little deeper because I want you to know a little more about what this pertains to. So how old are you right now? He's 55. So let's ask, we'll divide his life roughly in half. Did this occur earlier than age 30? No. Did it occur between 30 and 40? No. 40 to 50? Okay. And did it occur, that's strong by the way, 40, you feel that? 40 to 50 is strong. Did it occur between 40 and 45? No. Around 46? Yeah. Around 47? 47. Give or take a year. When we go back like this, it's, accurate within a year, give or take, because, you go back that far and you can remember. Anyway, does that ring any kind of a bell? Grief around that age?
My wife always does time more than I did. About 8 years ago. Is that when my dad died? My dad died, I think, about 7 years ago. Can't remember. Okay. All right.
Now, who would know? Wouldn't his subconscious mind know if that's what it's about? Let's ask, okay? Right? One more question. So, was this about your father? Was this your grief about your father dying? Is that what this is about? And what do we see? Absolutely. Do we need to know any more about this emotion? Now his body says no. See that? So now we can release it. So face that way. Thank you. Let's give Ryan, right? Let's give Ryan a big hand. Thank you for coming over to help. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to do 3 swipes of the magnet, okay, down that governing meridian to release that energy, even though it's been there all these years, right? We'll give him one more for the road. Now, what I want you to do is go ahead and walk, okay? Here we go. Thanks. All right. Okay, now, come back over here. Let's take a look. Move your neck around a little bit, move your head around a little bit. And let's ask first, did we release that trapped emotion? And his body says yes, okay, that grief. And on a 0 to 10 scale, how does your neck feel after it? How was it feeling before?
Probably 3.
Right about a 3. So we cut it in half, basically. It's about a 6, right? Is that right? About a 6. Okay. So we cut it in half. There might be another one in there, but in the interest of time, you know, half's pretty good, right? I mean, think of this, okay? Yeah, if you worked for a drug company and you found a drug that could take somebody from a 6 to a 3 in like 5 minutes with no harmful side effects, although your ears will fall off later. I'm sorry. Well, it may happen. It doesn't always happen. You may bleed from the nose and things like that. You'll be all right. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Okay, you can begin. All right. So that's how it works, right? It's actually really simple. And we can sit here, I mean, we can do this all day long. The bottom line is this. Emotional baggage is real. We all have it. I mean, how many of you can remember a time in your life when you cried yourself to sleep at night? Raise your hand. Okay? That's emotional baggage. Okay? Raise your hand if you were ever bullied. It's emotional baggage. You have emotional baggage in the family, anybody? Emotional baggage. And it's other things besides those as well. It's real. Now, emotional baggage affects kids. It affects grown-ups. Let me tell you, oh gosh. Let me tell you a story, in fact. We just got this story a few weeks ago. A woman wrote into us and she said, she has a son who's autistic. He's 7 years old. All the doctors that were treating him have basically given up on him and recommended that he be institutionalized because he's getting so big and he's so violent that she just doesn't know what to do anymore. And she's just been totally at a loss. The doctors have prescribed medication which kind of takes the edge off when he's getting really violent, but not really helping. So a friend of hers told her about the Emotion Code book. She went to the library, she said, she read the book, and she thought, oh, this is stupid, which may be a more common reaction than I realized. But anyway, she decided she would try it on herself, and she got some good responses on herself, kind of similar to when she would get an acupuncture treatment, so she thought she would try it on her son. And when she wrote in this testimonial to us, she said that he had completely changed from the work that she did on him just a few times. She said he went from tipping a piece of furniture over in her house every 10 seconds to being able to sit quietly and play. He's learning to play the ukulele, she says. He's able to actually attend events where before, within a few minutes, he would take off and bolt, run down the street, go underneath a car, or climb up into a tree. All this crazy, violent behavior is all completely gone, just with the Emotion Code. If you want a copy of that testimonial, you can just write to us. We've got thousands of testimonials. We don't know what to do with them all. They're coming in from all over the world. By the way, the Emotion Code also works on animals. Let me tell you a story. I got a call one day to go work on a horse. It was a dressage horse, for those of you that know, and so their gait is very, they have a very finely tuned gait, and this horse had a problem. It wasn't walking right. There's something wrong with his hind quarters. And they had 2 vets come and look at this horse because it was lame. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. So they called me, and it was a surprise to me. I grew up in Montana. We had a ranch. We had 50 head of horses at one point. All I knew is that if you kick the horse, it goes faster. If you kick it twice, it will go twice as fast. I never thought they had emotions. I was working on a horse one day with my wife, and I was kind of stumped. I didn't know what to do. And she said, well, why don't you see if it's emotional? And I laughed at her. I thought she was joking. And she said, just check. So I did, and it was. So anyway, I get this call. I go down to the arena where this horse is, And there's always a little crowd of people who would gather around, you know, when the weird doctor would come to talk to the horses, right? This is me, the weird doctor. So my wife is there, and I'm asking questions, and this is how you can do this. She had her arm touching the horse, and then her other arm was stretched out, and I'm talking to the horse, and seeing if the horse's responses are yes, strong on her arm for yes, weak on her arm for no. We teach you how to do this, it's really fun. And it will draw small crowds. Okay. So anyway, I'm asking this horse questions. We found the emotion was sadness. And so I'm asking, well, was it sadness about a human being? No. My wife's arm goes down. Was it sadness about a dog? No. Cat? No. Was it about another horse? No. Kind of running out of ideas, and a bird flies over. So I thought, oh, I might as well. Was it sadness about a bird? Rock solid. The answer came back from the horse's energy field. Yes, it was about a bird. And everyone started laughing. It's in this group, watching this little group. And I started laughing too, because I mean, come on, a horse having sadness about a bird, it just seemed ridiculous. But the horse's owner was there. She was there. And she said, wait a minute. She said, I think I might know what this is about. She said, a week before, right in front of this horse's stall, there was a baby bird that fell out of its nest and fell down onto the roadway and struggled for its life and died. And we tested the horse. The horse was a mute witness to this whole tragic event, the death of this baby bird, and it was overwhelmed with sadness. And that emotion got stuck in that horse's body. We released it. Now with the horse, what I do is take a magnet and start it, between the ears and just go all the way down to the tail. I took that horse out and walked it, and it was perfectly fine. And I could talk probably all day about animal stories. How many of you actually have seen the emotion code fix some kind of an animal's problem? Raise your hand if you've seen that. Okay, now look at that. These are real people here. Those of you that are brand new to this, I'm telling you, this might seem like I am from the moon, okay? But I'm telling you, this stuff is real. So the emotion code, we believe, is the simplest, fastest, most efficient method of releasing trapped emotions ever devised. And I did not devise it. This is not about me. I just work here, okay? My job, my mission, this is my mission in this world, is to bring this work, this healing work, into the world. Everything that's happened to me in my whole life has prepared me to do this, to share this message, and to tell people all over the world that God is real. And He's our Father, and He loves us, and He hasn't forgotten about us. By the way, the release of trapped emotions is permanent, and it works for everybody. So again, if you want to get a copy of the Emotion Code book, the ebook, and the book on audio, so you can listen to it, you can take your cell phone out, and you can text code to that number right there, and we will give you a free copy. Okay? And I'll pop that up again later. So, I want to tell you a little bit more about something else we found called the heart wall. Now your heart is by far the most powerful organ in your body, generates 60 to 1,000 times more electromagnetic energy than your brain. And if the connection to your brain were severed, your heart would keep right on beating. Now back in 1895, they invented this device called the EKG. How many of you have had one of these? You have to get one for insurance, right? It measures the heart's electrical field. Now we have this device called a magnetocardiogram that measures the heart's magnetic field. And what we have found when we measure the heart's magnetic field is that the heart puts out this energy field that is about 12 feet in diameter or more. And we believe now that the heart truly is the core of our being. Ancient peoples believe that. We believe the heartbeat is a means of communication to every cell. There's way more going on with the heart than we ever thought before. Now, if you're feeling love or affection for another person, they've proven in the laboratory that your heartbeat will become measurable in the brain waves of that other person. Think about that. How many of you have sat in the back of a very boring meeting, perhaps like this one, staring at the back of somebody's head, 5 or 6 rows up, and you just kind of fixated, staring at the back of their head, lost in thought? What happens? They whirl around and they look right into your eyes, don't they? How many of you have had this happen to you at perhaps church or some other type of meeting? Anyone? How many of you do this regularly? A couple guys in the back. Sweet. Hey, me too. Should form a group. So here's an interesting thing. When they started doing heart transplants back in the 1960s, it didn't take long. People started coming back reporting strange things, like receiving the affinities and the memories and the loves of the donor. Here's a guy, Paul Oldham, a lawyer from Milwaukee, received the heart of a 14-year-old boy and inherited a strange new craving for Snickers bars. Now I imagine this guy being an attorney has a roll-top desk and it's full of Snickers bars and candy. True story. Here's one. A man at 25 received a woman's heart and now, to the delight of his girlfriend, has a consistent and powerful need to shop sales. He's at TJ Maxx right now. My wife wishes this could happen to me, but I don't like shopping. Look at this one. A 47-year-old Caucasian male received a heart from a 17-year-old African-American male. The recipient was surprised by his newfound love of classical music. Surprise was, to put it mildly. He never liked classical music before, and now all day long, these passages he's going over and over. His wife thinks he's completely lost his mind. He discovered later that the donor, who loved classical music and played the violin, had died in a drive-by shooting, clutching his violin case to his chest. There are whole books written about this. If you've never heard of this kind of thing, this is real. Look at this one. A 7-year-old girl had recurring nightmares about being killed after receiving the heart of another child who had been murdered. Her descriptions of the murderer as well as the murder weapon led to the arrest and conviction of the killer of the donor. Now, if your hair is not standing up on end yet, you see what happened to me was, I've done a lot of these talks around the world. One too many. One day there it went. It was just gone. So the ancients understood the heart was the seat of the soul, the core of our being, the source of love, the source of our creativity. Think about it. Raise your hand if you've ever read any holy scriptures and seen references to the heart. Right? It's in there over and over and over and over. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. The Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. The ancient Egyptians believed that when you die, you go through a ceremony on the other side of the veil where your heart is weighed against a feather. And if your heart is heavier than a feather, it's not going to work out well for you. But if your heart's lighter than a feather, then you enter into your exaltation. So we believe the heart now to be a second brain, sending messages all the time to all of the body. And the brain in your head is obeying the messages sent by the brain in your heart. Hence the reason why the gospel is all about changing our hearts, isn't it? Because that's really who we are. This brain up here is just the temporary computer that we're using. Now sometimes we feel like our heart is going to break. It's a physical sensation. It occurs when the deepest part of us feels wounded. Deep grief, hurt, or loss, it's really an assault on that deepest part of you, that core of your being. Now sometimes what will happen is your body will put up a wall around that heart called a heart, we call it a heart wall. It's a wall of energy made from layers of your emotional baggage. Now, this was discovered actually in 1998. I was it was in Portland, Oregon. I was a speaker at this conference on magnetic healing. Early in the morning of this conference, my wife woke me up and she said that she'd had a dream. And there were symbols in her dream, and she asked me to help her discern what the symbols were. So I started helping her. We figured out the first couple of things, what they were, fixed those. When I turned my attention to the third symbol from this dream that she had, I had what I can only describe to you as a waking vision, where suddenly the room that I was in wasn't there anymore. Instead, I'm seeing this incredibly beautiful hardwood floor. And this floor was the most beautiful floor I've ever seen. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my whole entire life. I mean, there are times when I think about it and bring tears to my eyes. It looked like it had 1,000 coats of polish. It was absolutely amazing. I've never found a picture. I've looked and looked and looked. This doesn't even begin, not even close. But at the same time that I'm seeing this vision, I have this understanding that comes into my mind that my wife's heart is underneath this floor. And this lasted for about 3 or 4 minutes. The vision, the understanding. I had absolutely no idea. Not a clue in the world what this meant. And I told my wife what I was seeing and understanding. She had no idea either. So we prayed. and asked God, who understands everything, what this could possibly mean. And what we found was that she was born into a very volatile family. We found that when she was 2 years old, she felt like her heart was going to break. Her father was a rageaholic, it was very dysfunctional, and so her subconscious mind, the core of her being, started to put up a wall around her heart to protect her heart from being totally broken. The price that she paid for having this wall around her heart, this literally a wall made from emotional baggage, from the energy of her emotional baggage. We started clearing that baggage, one emotion at a time, until finally it was gone, and it took a week or two. The price that she paid for having that wall around her heart was it was easy for her to feel negative emotions, hard to feel positive ones. She struggled with depression and anxiety. No matter what group she was ever with, she always felt like she was on the outside looking in. She never really felt like she belonged. Raise your hand if any of you struggle with any of those feelings. They're not unusual, right? When that last emotion was finally released, it changed her because she felt like for the first time she belonged. Well, initially I thought that this was just my wife. She's the only person in the world that has this weird thing. I might not ever see this again. Boy, was I surprised. 93% of people have this phenomenon going on. 93%. Let me tell you a story. One of the next people that I saw was a nurse. She came to see me because she had neck pain. She'd seen a couple of other doctors that couldn't fix her. She came to see me. And as I was talking with her, she told me that she was basically celibate. She had not dated in 8 years. She was never going to date again. She was going to live the rest of her life as a single woman. She was a nurse. She was 38 years old, is all. And she was attractive. And I said, well, what happened to you? Why do you feel that way? She said that 8 years before, she was really deeply in love with this guy who dumped her and broke her heart. And I tested her and found that when that happened, when she went through that breakup, there were 3 emotions that became trapped in her body that formed into a wall, an invisible wall of energy around her heart to protect her heart from ever having to go through that kind of pain ever again. I released those 3 emotions, which just took a few minutes, and the heart wall was gone. And all of a sudden her neck pain was gone too. I didn't have to touch her neck. Remember, she came to me for neck pain. Cleared the heart wall, the neck pain's gone. She left and I didn't see her again. She didn't come back for 3 months. And when she came back 3 months later, this is one of those things I'll always remember too. She looked great, and I said, hey, you look great. I haven't seen you for a while. How are you doing? She said, my neck's been fine since I was here. She said, you removed that heart wall from me, and that really works because about 2 weeks after I was here, I found out my childhood sweetheart has been living right around the corner from me for almost 8 years. And we're dating, and we're in love. And I think he's going to ask me to marry him. Right? Shift. Huge shift. It is absolutely amazing. This heart wall thing it's been called the most important discovery in the history of energy medicine. If you have a heart wall, what it'll do is it will hamper your ability to give and receive love and feel good emotions. It will contribute to feelings of isolation and create depression and other problems. It'll interfere with your success. And there are physical effects too. Chest pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, lowered immunity, all of these things. Listen to this one. This might be hard for you to read. I'll read it to you. This is one of my patients wrote this. She said, as I reflect back on the time after my heart wall cleared, I realized things weren't the same. I began to open myself to the idea of having someone in my life to have and to hold and to care for as he would care for me. This woman worked at Disneyland. She had a great job. She was single. She'd never been married. Never really cared to be married. But this is what happened. She said, it happened on the feeling level. Finding someone to share my life with just felt like the next step. There was a new readiness that I hadn't felt before. It must have been the removal of that invisible wall that I had not even known was there that allowed me to let this wonderful man in. So for all of you who think women cannot marry after a certain age, get your heart wall cleared, stay open to the possibilities that life has to offer, and remember my story. We're now approaching our 5th anniversary. We've just moved into our new home on the California coast, overlooking the ocean, Catalina Island, and are living the fairy tale. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Lynn. Here's another woman. This woman had terrible, terrible social anxiety, couldn't leave her house. She says, I now feel safe inside deeply in my body, mind, and heart. I also feel comfortable in crowds. The deep, deep sadness, anger, and confusion I felt my whole life is gone. Gone, gone, gone. Thank you from the bottom of my now heart wall free heart. Think about this. How many people do you think in this world spend their whole lives feeling emotions like this that they don't understand how to get rid of? Sadness, anger, confusion. It happens all the time. I mean, it's a huge thing. Let me tell you one more story here. A woman brought her son in to see me. He was 9 years old. She had taken him to psychiatrists and psychologists. They said they couldn't help him. They said that he was severely depressed, clinically depressed. It started when he wouldn't hand in his homework, or he wouldn't do his homework. One day, she paid a surprise visit to the school, only to find his teacher telling him how pathetic he was. So that was it. She took him out of school, took him home, tried to do homeschool. That wasn't working. She'd come into his room at night, and he'd be on the floor, and she'd say, "What are you doing on the floor?" And he'd say, "I don't deserve to be in a bed." She had no idea what to do with him. Took him to see a psychiatrist, psychologist. They said they couldn't help him because he wouldn't admit that he was depressed. But he was very, very depressed. So she brought him in to see me, and I tested him and found... Actually, she brought him in to see me because he was in my Sunday school class. I was teaching him. I was teaching the 9-year-olds. And he was in my class. And I couldn't quite figure him out because he was kind of unresponsive. He always had a big smile pasted to his face. But there was something false about it. I couldn't figure it out either. So she brought him in to see me, and I tested him and found he had a heart wall. We started releasing the emotions from this wall that he put up around his heart. And here's what we found. A couple years before, there was an accident, and a couple of his cousins that he loved were killed. And then a year or so before that, there was another accident, and one of his other cousins that he loved was on at a hay ride and fell off the hay wagon and fell under the tractor wheels and was killed. Terrible tragedy. We cleared those emotions. There was one emotion left, and here's what it was. He was with his family. They were at a lake in California at a family reunion. He was with his sister and his other little best friend cousin who was also 5 years old. The three of them were on a dock. His 12-year-old sister was the babysitter. There was nobody else around, just the three of them, and she was trying to teach this little 5-year-old boy, the cousin, how to swim. And he got underneath the dock, and he didn't come back. And an hour later, the divers found his body under the dock and pulled him out, and he was blue and dead. And the overwhelming guilt that his sister felt, can you imagine how awful that would be? The overwhelming, overpowering guilt coming out of his sister that his sister felt was so overwhelming for him, that emotional energy immediately became trapped in his body. Her guilt. And it immediately formed into a wall around his heart. Otherwise, his little 5-year-old boy heart was going to completely break. We cleared that emotion, and according to the muscle testing, his heart wall was gone. So his mom took him home. And for the next couple of days, he's lying around kind of lethargic, and she was thinking, well, it doesn't look like that really helped. But on the morning of the third day after we worked on him, he got himself up early, got himself all ready to go to school, and he came downstairs, and this is an exact quote because I'll never forget this. He said, "Mom, I can go back to school now. I'm a happy pappy." That's what he said, 9 years old. And he did go back to school, and all of his learning disabilities just were gone. And in fact, he went into the program for advanced kids because he was so smart. They call it the GATE program in California. So smart, and all of his joy came back. And this is what she said. She said, "My son was diagnosed as being clinically depressed at only 9 years old. Nothing was helping him. If skepticism had kept me away from this type of treatment, I would still be parenting a very sad and frustrated little boy with no solution in sight. Instead, I have found a treatment that has literally saved him." She told me that she believed that this literally saved his life. That boy is 27, maybe 28 years old now and doing great. But she did not think, and I didn't think either, that he would have survived. How many kids take their own lives? It's a huge problem, right? Let me tell you what, I've seen suicidally depressed people over and over. People who have to decide every single day if they're going to live or take their own life that day. I've seen people that bad get well literally in a matter of days by doing this simple process. It's so simple. And people sometimes say to me, this is just too simple. And I say to them, well, I can make it more difficult for you if you'd like. You know, God always has a better way. I didn't create this. This just, happened. I was just trying to help people. So, how many of you have ever heard this advice? Follow your heart. Anyone? Follow your heart. Great advice. What if you have a heart wall? Guess what? Good luck. Because your ability to find success is going to be hampered if you've got a wall around your heart. You know why? Let me tell you why. Because that heart inside of you truly is the core of your being. It truly is the core. It's the core of your spirit. And all of your best ideas don't come from up here. They come from inside of you, from the heart, see? And when people say follow your heart, that's the best advice I think that anybody could ever give you. If you've got a heart wall, it's going to be so much more difficult, you see? So much more difficult. Getting rid of it can really make a huge difference. Here's a woman that worked on herself. She got the emotion code book, she read it, she started working on herself, which yes, you can do. You don't need anybody else. You can do this completely for free. We have practitioners all over the world in 64 countries. You can get help from one of them if you want to, but you can do this yourself. That's what she did. She said this to me after she worked on herself and cleared her heart wall. Here's what she said. I'm feeling an awesome difference since I released my heart wall. To begin with, my self-esteem has gone up to the sky. Secondly, I've been having one creative idea after the other. I feel the driving force, which seemed to have left me long ago, is back again with a lot of strength. I cannot really express how grateful I am to you and to God in the first place that led me to find you and your work. Now let me tell you what's going on with this work, all right? What's happening is, when that wall is taken down, it's not uncommon for people to come back to us and say things to us that are really amazing. Like, for the first time in my entire life, I can feel God. I can feel God's love for me. Imagine how profound is that? I am not making this up. We're teaching people, you see, all over the world. Buddhists, Muslims, Zoroastrians, everywhere, all over the world, that there's a higher power. They can ask for help. People are learning about having faith, you see. And when you read the Emotion Code book, you'll realize that all of these overwhelmingly powerful spiritual experiences that I have had in my own life were not for me. They were for the book. They were to put in there so that people could increase their level of faith. And that's what's happening all over the world. So it's really, really simple. And that's if you want to get the book, just take out your cell phone and type code, send it to that number, and you get the book for free. Now, let me read this to you. The only way we can change this world and bring it to a higher level of civilization is through changing the inhabitants of the earth one at a time. By helping people to shed their emotional baggage, we transform them back into the pure spirits that they should be, and they become empowered to become who God intended them to become. Their pains and phobias, their addictions and self-defeating behaviors fall away, and the pure essence of each individual shines forth from each heart, filling the immensity of space. This is how the world will change, and I guarantee you it will, one person at a time. I hope you'll join me and become a part of this work, whose destiny is to help transform this earth to a higher plane of existence, one life at a time. That's what this is about, see? It's high time the world transformed. This is part of that. Who knew where it was going to come from? An obscure chiropractor, that's all I am. But this work is powerful and it works. So anyway, let me see here. Hang on a minute. Let's go. Let's see if we can maybe work on somebody who might have a heart wall. Go back to my chart here.
Raise your hand. You have.
There we go. Raise your hand if you think you might have a heart wall. Oh, so many hands. Let's see. Well, how I do this is I just ask for some help, and then I pick whoever I'm supposed to pick.
Just kidding.
And that's how it works. Oh, you know what? It is you in the white right there. Yeah. Okay. I never know who I'm going to pick. And that's how this works. Thanks, Ryan. Come on down. Have we met? We haven't? Okay. Come on up then. Doesn't matter. Oh, great. Hi. No, what's your name?
Alaire.
Alaire. This is Alaire. Everybody say hello to Alaire. Okay. So you think you might have a heart wall? She thinks she might have a heart wall. Here's how you figure it out. It's really simple. You ask the body a question. But first, let's see if she's testable. Say, my name is Alaire.
My name is Alaire.
She says her name is Alaire. She's nice and, wow, you're really strong. Rock climb? No? Okay. Say, my name is Bob.
My name is Bob.
So she's testable. You see her arm going down? All right. So let's ask, do you have a heart wall? And what does her body say? You see how strong she is? She's really strong. You are really strong. Okay, cool. So let's ask, can we release an emotion from your heart wall now? Now the reason we ask this is because sometimes people want to keep their heart wall for a little while. Usually after about a week of thinking about it, they're ready to get rid of it, is in my experience. Can we release an emotion from your heart wall right now? And her body says, yes, we can. Okay, so her subconscious mind has an emotion in mind right now. What is the emotion? Is it in column A? No. It's got to be in column B then. Is it in one of the odd rows in column B? Yes. So is it in row 1 in column B? Yep. Row 1 column B. What's the first emotion, class?
Effort unreceived.
Effort unreceived. Is that what it is? No. Okay. Is the emotion heartache? Is that what it is? Ooh, that's really strong. You feel that? Heartache. All right. Raise your hand if you've ever felt that. You too? Okay. All right. So let's ask, do we need to know more about this emotion? And we get a strong answer. So our subconscious mind is saying, I'm going to release this, but you got to dig a little deeper first. So how old are you right now? 27. Okay. So she's 27. So did this occur earlier than age, we'll say 15? Yes or no? And what do we get? Strong, right? Did it occur earlier than age 10? And what do we get? Very strong. Did it occur earlier than age 5? Oh, wow. Earlier than 5. Let's go back to birth. Did this occur earlier than birth? Yes, it did. Now, are you a person before you're born? Yeah. I mean, do babies in the womb, are they conscious of anything? Totally. Yep. That's why you can play Barbra Streisand for them, and when they're born, they'll be singing. Amazing. Well, maybe not exactly. You know what I mean. Okay, so let's see. Heartache. Did this occur before you were born? And everybody says yes. So did this occur during the time you were in the womb, actually? Yes, that's strong. Feel that? All right. Did it occur? Well, let's divide our time in the womb up into 3 trimesters. Did this occur in the first trimester of the time you were in the womb? What's your body say? No. Did it occur in the second trimester? Is that when it occurred? No. Did it occur in the 3rd trimester then? Yep. 3rd, try that again. Try it again. 3rd trimester? Yep. 3rd trimester. Now, what's the emotion? Heartache. Heartache, right? Now, if it's not her emotion, which could be her emotion, but if it's not her emotion, whose emotion do you think it might be? Mom. All right, so let's find out. Was this your emotion? No. Was this your mom's emotion? Yep, absolutely. See that? So in other words, sometime during that last trimester, your mom was feeling heartache, and her body's vibrating with that frequency of heartache, right? Well, you're the baby, you're in there, you're vibrating too! And then, boom, it gets stuck in your body. Now, do you know anything about what your mom was going through? Okay. She doesn't know. But that's okay. Let's ask, do we need to know any more about this emotion? No? All right, cool. Face that way. So that's how easy this is. It's really simple, really fast. You can use a magnet if you want to. Or your fingertips will also work if you don't have a magnet. So even though she's had this since the 3rd trimester, 27 years now, it only takes a few swipes of the magnet to release it. 3 or 4, that's it. Okay, face this way. Now let's ask, did we release that trapped emotion of heartache that you got from your mom in the 3rd trimester? And her body says, yeah, we released it. Now, do you still have a heart wall? You still have a heart wall. She does. Can we release another emotion from your heart wall right now? And what's your body say? No, not right now. Sometimes when you release an emotion, the body will need to process a little bit. But you can get the book, just text the number, and then you can do it on yourself. Okay? So, high five. Thank you. All right, cool. Thanks. Thanks, Ryan. Give both a big hand. All right. So, any questions? Yes. Wait, what? Oh, how do you do it yourself? Well, what you can do, we teach you in the book a number of different self-testing methods. So, for example, you can do this, where you hold, you make a ring in a ring, and you can do this, it'll stay strong, the rings will stay together for yes, they'll weaken, they'll open for no. There are other methods, we teach you those. And if you find the trapped emotion on yourself and you want to release it, what you do is you can just use a magnet of your fingertips and you just start on the forehead and you go over like this a few times. Like that, okay? So, yeah, great question. Same meridian, it goes all the way to the upper lip. And you had a question, right? Yeah, great question. The question is, if two people go through the exact same circumstance, is it possible that one of them might trap the emotion and the other one might not? And the answer is absolutely yes. Because we're all different, we're all individuals. Some of us have different constitutional weaknesses than others. And also, depending on how run down you might be, okay, the trapped emotion, you might pick one up where somebody else might not. It just depends. These trapped emotions, it's been a fascinating journey for me, learning how these things work, day in, day out. I remember once I had a patient that came to me, and this story's in the book, by the way. I had a patient that came to me who had really, really serious carpal tunnel, or tennis elbow, where he couldn't turn the keys to start his car. He was in a sling that he got from a doctor, medical doctor. Came in to see me. I worked on it for a couple of weeks, and I wasn't getting anywhere doing the typical chiropractic treatments. So I thought, maybe there's something emotional going on. This is a long time. I was just learning how this works. So I started asking questions, and his body was giving me the answers. And he had like 7 or 8 trapped emotions lodged in his elbow. Now his pain level was about a 10, 9 to a 10. And every time we'd release a trapped emotion, the pain level would drop. And it kept dropping. But the funny thing was, this guy was about 42 years old, and each trapped emotion had been created by a different girl who had dumped him in high school. And what's so funny is that his wife is sitting there, right? And he's saying, well, was it Rhonda? No. Was it Sheila? No. I didn't know this guy, amazing. And his wife rolling her eyes. When we got the last one cleared, the pain was completely gone. I mean, I could go in there and squeeze that area, which is just absolutely, would have put him through the roof before. A few minutes before, would have put him through the roof. And it was just totally gone. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'll never ever forget that one. Oh, how does it work to release trapped emotions by proxy? Well, that's a really interesting thing. When I was in my practice, sometimes my patients would take off and go on vacation or something, and sometimes they'd get in trouble and they'd call me, and they'd be on the other side of the planet or in Dubuque or someplace, and they'd say, can you help me? And I could help them. And I never learned this from anybody, I just knew how to do it. And when I was writing the emotion code book, I got to this part in the book where I thought, should I put this in the book about how this works at a distance? Because I knew how to do it and I taught other people how to do it. And I prayed about it and the answer was absolutely put that in there. So I did. And so how it works is, well, I don't know if they're going to, I'm the last guy, right? So I don't know if they're going to kick me out of here, but we can do this really quick. Let's do this. I'll show you how it works. It's really kind of mind-blowing, right? But there's a true principle in this world, and it's called the principle of proxy. We've all heard that word, most of us, right? And that means that your body has this ability to set aside its own needs to act on behalf of somebody else. It's an amazing thing, and that's how this works. So let's, just for fun, let's pick somebody that's in pain. I'll show you. You come up. You can be proxy, okay? You come on up. Now, raise your hand if you think you're in more pain than anybody else. Raise your hand if you think you're in more pain than anyone. All right, and your hand's up, and how much pain are you in? 0 to 10. 9, where at? Lower back? Oh, awesome. Okay, come on up here. All right, and what's your name? Wait, you're Natalie? Okay, she's Natalie, and what's your name? Patricia? All right, check this out. You'll never ever see this anywhere else except, right here. And you're Natalie, right? Say hello.
Hello.
Okay, say hello to Natalie, everybody. And say hello to Patricia, who has a 9 on the 0 to 10 scale of low back pain, correct? Okay, all right, here we go. Here's how we are going to connect her up for Patricia, okay? Watch this. Say, my name is Patricia.
My name is Patricia.
Actually, and that was a no. Let's just get a baseline on you first. Say, my name is Natalie.
My name is Natalie.
She says her name is Natalie. I'm going to press down and she's nice and strong. My name is Bob.
My name is Bob.
So she's testable, no problem. Could you guys all see over there? Let's come up a little bit closer. Okay, now watch this. This is how we do this, actually. Her name is Patricia. Her name is Natalie. Watch this. Say, my name is Patricia.
My name is Patricia.
She says her name is Patricia and her body says, no, that isn't right. But watch what happens if we keep having her say this. Say, my name is Patricia.
My name is Patricia.
She's still weak. Say it again.
My name is Patricia.
The intention is to connect the two of them up. Watch this.
My name is Patricia.
And all of a sudden it's strong. Say it again.
My name is Patricia.
And all of a sudden it is strong. Watch this. Say, my name is Natalie.
My name is Natalie.
Look what happens. Down she goes. So what's happened here is that she has just set aside her own needs to act on behalf of this other child of God, Patricia, to help her, right? And this works at any distance. You could be in Zimbabwe. In fact, we'll pretend you are in Zimbabwe. Okay? So now, let's ask this. Do you have a trapped emotion that's contributing to your low back pain? And who are we really talking to? Patricia. And what answer do we get? Yes! So what emotion is it? Is it listed in the chart here in column A? No. So it's in column B. Is it in one of the odd rows in column B? Thank you, Mike. Yes, odd rows, column B. Is it in row 1 in column B? That's strong. Is the emotion effort unreceived? No. Is it heartache? Is that what it is? No. Is it insecurity? Is that what it is? Bingo, insecurity. Do we need to know any more about this? No, we don't. We don't want to do about this emotion, but our body says, let's get rid of it. Who am I really releasing this from? Patricia. Natalie is just acting as proxy. Right? Isn't that cool? How many was that? Whatever. Okay, here you go. Ready? Let's ask, did we release that trapped emotion from you, Patricia? And the answer is yes. Now, Patricia, what I want you to do is stand up and move around a little bit. All right? Stand up, move around a little bit. Good. Yeah. Just walk around a little bit. There you go. In fact, you can walk down here. We might want to clear one more from you. We'll see how she's doing so far. Now, if we get them too close to each other, they will spontaneously combust, so we got to be careful of that. No, it's okay. Come on up. All right, 0 to 10, how's your back feel so far?
They all start cheering over there.
About 3.
3 from a 9?
Correct.
So we see if we can get rid of the rest of it?
I love it.
How long has it been bothering you?
Oh, years.
Really? Okay, let's try it. You stay there. Ready? Okay. So basically, what's weird here is we have 2 Patricias, right? Ready? Okay, so just resist. So let's ask this question. Do you have another trapped emotion we can release that's contributing to your back pain? And let's see what answer is. That's a yes. Okay, so is this trapped emotion in column A? Yep. Is it in column B? No, it's in column A. And is it in one of the odd rows in column A, this emotion? Yes. So is it in row 1 in column A? That's pretty strong. So is the emotion abandonment? Is that what it is? No. Is the emotion betrayal? Is it betrayal? Is that what it is? Ooh, that's a fun one, right? Betrayal. And that's what it is. That rings. That's pretty strong. Does that ring a bell at all, Patricia?
No.
What do you mean you don't know? You're Patricia, aren't you? Okay. So do we need to know any more about this? And her body says no. Betrayal. Does that ring a bell for you at all? It does ring a bell for her, the real Patricia. Okay. Face that way. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. We'll give you one more for the road. All right, you ready, Patricia? Take a walk. Walk over there and then come back. And let's ask you, Patricia. This is fun, right? Did we release that trapped emotion? Yes, we did. All right, cool. So let's see how she's doing. She was a 9 on a 0 to 10. We've got it to a 3. And let's see how it is now. What do you think? Yeah. The question is, do you need permission to work on the other person? If it's your own child and they're less than legal age, you have permission because you essentially own them. But once they become, legal age, then you got to get their permission. If you work on, is it possible to work on somebody without their permission? Yes, it is. But it's unethical. It's an invasion of privacy, and as far as I'm concerned, it should be illegal. Imagine if some weirdo that lives down the street from you comes over and says, "Hey, I've been working on you. I found all kinds of weird stuff." You wouldn't be happy, would you? So no, you don't work on people unless you have their permission, either spoken or written. Usually spoken is all you need. Great question. The question is that the guy with the tennis elbow, why did it wait so long before the symptoms finally occurred? And that's a great question. We don't always know. If you get exposed to some really toxic thing today, you might not develop a cancer for 20 years, right? Things oftentimes in the body will kind of percolate, and then all of a sudden, boom, they show up. And then sometimes that's how it is. And it's weird though, because when we do seminars and we do events and things, oftentimes we'll see people who will have some energetic problem that will pop up, some pain will appear like a week before, because their subconscious mind knows it's going to get released at the event. It's really strange. There was a lady that I talked to actually at one of our events in her 80s. She said she used to have pain all over her body. She got rid of all of her pain using the emotion code and the body code, which is another device or another self-study course that we sell. She got rid of all of her pain, and she was totally pain-free for about 3 months, and all of a sudden she started getting pain again in her shoulder, and she checked, and it was inherited. And there were these ancestors. She says now the ancestors, she knows, she'll go about a week or two without pain, and she'll get a pain in some weird spot in her body, and it'll be the ancestors lining up to get work done, basically, to get some stuff, to get some baggage released. Right? So anyway. Okay, did you have a question? Go ahead. Oh yeah. Right. Oh yeah. Time to get busy there. Yeah. The question is, can this help infertility? The thing about this is, if you think about the body as an energy field, think of the body as just an energy field. Now think of emotional baggage for what it is. These balls of negative energy distorting the energy field. If you got trapped emotions and these balls of negative energy affecting maybe your uterus, okay, your reproductive system, is it going to be harder for you to have kids? Absolutely. If you got a trapped emotion, maybe it's lodged in your neck. Are you going to have neck pain? Probably. It's so important to get rid of this baggage, and so many things can get better because of it. We don't sell the emotion code or promote it as a cure for anything. We don't claim to cure anything. All we do is help people to find their own baggage and get rid of it. And you guys can do it all for yourselves. You can do it for free. It doesn't have to cost you a penny. Now, if you want, you can go to our website. It's at Healer's Library. You can find a practitioner. They're all over the world. There's some here in this area, But this work is done at a distance just as well as live and in person. Was there a famous figure from the New Testament who did any kind of healing at a distance? Yeah, Jesus, right? Yeah. He was showing us what can be done, and it works. What's that? Okay. Well, she's got a sister who has schizophrenia. She's in the hospital, probably been there for 30 years. Here's the thing, okay? Getting rid of people's trapped emotions can only help, right? It can only help. It can't hurt them, and it might just help them. So, you can give it a shot. Well, you can't get permission, but you're her guardian, so you have permission, basically. Kind of like if you have a child, And by the way, if you have an older child that that they're older than 18, and oh yeah, Rod's gonna kick us out. Sorry, Rod. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I know we're way over time. Really? Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, if you have an older child, You need to get their permission to work on them if they're older than 18. But what you can do is, you know, if you're the mom, for example, you should be able to get permission with no problem. Oh, really, honey? Well, how about if I bake you your favorite brownies? All right, Mom, whatever. Go for it. It's easy. Trust me. Go ahead. If somebody's not testable, well, in the book we talk about that, and it's usually they're either dehydrated or more often than not, it's because they've got something going on in their neck's out of alignment. Now, the bones in the neck, we finally realized, are made out of what?
Energy.
Trick question. Minerals? Whoa, who said that? Oh, right. Energy, they're made of energy. So what you can do, if you have somebody that's not testable, you can actually just take your fingertips or a magnet and go down their back a few times, down that meridian, with an intention to realign the energies in their neck. More often than not, it'll work. And then they suddenly are testable. Try it. It's amazing. It's really simple. Okay, the question is, how would you explain the emotion of overjoyed? Let's say that you win the lotto, and you get the big promotion, and you get proposed to all on the same day. Would that be imbalancing? Yeah. Any overabundance of positive emotions can get stuck in the body as well, but they all would fall under that one emotion of overjoyed. Okay? So, all right, go ahead. Great question. The question is, how would your spirit know which part of the chart you need to go to if you've never seen the chart? Guess what? How does your spirit know how to take that ham sandwich and convert it into cardiac muscle tissue? The subconscious mind, you see, of every single one of us, the spirit within each one of us is connected into the database of universal intelligence, or all that is, the light of Christ, right? Universal intelligence, the database of all that is. The subconscious mind is tied into that. Every single person on the planet already knows what's on this chart. And we can, and I've done this. I used to have patients that come to me from other countries sometimes. I remember a guy came to me right off the streets of Calcutta, I swear. The long flowing robes and the turban and the whole thing. Didn't speak a word of English. And I was able to talk to him in English, and his body understood in the language of the spirit, and I was able to work on it with no problem at all. Right? It's an amazing thing. It's a great question. But the subconscious mind knows. How does it know? I don't know. It just does. Okay, the question is, how does it work if you had like a physical injury and you have pain from a physical injury? Well, I used to work a lot with athletes, and what I found was that a lot of the time there was emotional baggage there almost always anyway. Because see, when you have a physical injury of some kind, and then maybe you go through an intense emotion, you're more likely to trap that emotion, and it'll probably go right to the injury, and then that'll prevent it from healing. See, because it's distorting the energy field in that area. Does that make sense? So yeah, so you just ask and release those. One more question, and then we got to go. Okay, way up there.
Is that
black and white stripe? Yep.
How is it that twins, one can be perfectly fine, the other one has autism? Is there trapped emotions?
Did you hear that? Twins?
Twins, healthy, and one.
Oh yeah. How is it possible that you could have twins and have one be totally healthy and one have autism?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, every single person, remember, is an individual, right? And we all have our own individual constitutional weaknesses that we come into the world with. And some of us are more susceptible to stuff than others. If this is an actual live case, I would suspect that maybe the twin with the autism got more of a heavy metal load. All of us have a load of heavy metals in our body, a certain amount. That child might have gotten a little more than the other one. And then if that child got vaccinated, that maybe pushed that child over the edge into autism. That's probably what happened. So, all right, you guys have been amazing. Thank you. Hopefully this was interesting and fun for you. Thank you. Have a great night.